Hey, Walter Sorrells back with another Knife Making Friday 5. So first I want to say that I was just overwhelmed with submissions for my viewer knife video. I mentioned it last week and just got tons and tons of submissions. So much so that I'm going to be doing two separate videos. So the first one, which is appearing this week, is going to be mostly things that guys have sent to me over the course of 2016. And then the second one, which will come out in a week or two, will be ones that were sent to me just very, very recently. So if you don't see your knife in this first one, we're going to try and get it into the next one. I will say tons and tons of submissions. Can't promise everybody's going to get into it, but I want to say congratulations to everybody who sent pictures for all your hard work. We'll show a couple of quick previews here, but guys, great work. A lot of people showing their very, very first knives, and I have to say I'm a little jealous of how good some of those first knives are. Turning to a little bit of sad news. I heard just recently about the passing of Larry Harley. For those of you who aren't familiar with him, well-known knife maker, might have seen him on TV. Not only a great knife maker, but he was an educator, and he taught lots of kids. It was kind of a regular thing that he did. He had a hammer-in up at his shop every year. I went up to several of those. Just a really fascinating guy. A great storyteller, really interesting man, and he's really going to be missed. So on a happier note, last week I made a joke about selling my firstborn, but today I want to congratulate my son Jake for picking up his first win. This is his first start of his senior season at Marietta High School. The Blue Devils run-ruled Wheeler High School, and Jake got, I think, 7 strikeouts maybe in 3 innings of work. His high school's in the 7A high school division here, kind of on the north side of Atlanta where we live. It's got all the biggest schools in the state, and this area is just a huge baseball hotspot. So one team after another just stacked with Division I talent. Dansby Swanson, if you're familiar with him, last year he was the #1 MLB draft pick. He's a graduate of my son's high school, so any success in this league is really well earned. Congratulations, son. So what does my son have to do with knife making? Well, last week a viewer sent along a couple pictures of his own knives, but he also sent a picture or a couple pictures of his daughter making a knife. He did a kind of father-daughter project with her. She just looked so focused and so proud of what she was accomplishing, and it just got me to thinking about doing things with your kids and kind of how that connects to knife making. Now, my son was never all that into knife making. We connected on the baseball field, and I can't tell you how many hours I spent throwing the ball with him or coaching his teams or just sitting in the stands watching him. I mean, just literally hundreds and hundreds of games. I was never a baseball guy when I was a kid, but Jake was. It was just obvious from the minute that he walked onto the field. And so for me, I always felt like I'm trying to encourage my kid to do stuff that takes him closer to who he really is. As parents, I feel like our biggest job is to give our kids a sense of self. Not just self-confidence in some kind of general way, but a sense of what they genuinely have to share as human beings. And, I never wanted my son to be, a better version of me. I wanted him to be the best version of himself, which is not going to be me. We'd like to think that we mold our kids, but to a large degree, they're already what they are the minute they pop out of the womb. Some kids are just never going to prosper on the baseball field or in the classroom. Not going to be the head cheerleader, sing the big, solo in the chorus concert. But you put a tool in their hands and man, they just come alive. And we don't really value that these days. So being able to use tools, I think, is a great source of that sense of accomplishment and purpose that, we want all our kids to have. So I'd encourage any of you who are parents, take your kids out to the shop and try making a knife with them. As I was thinking about all this, I was thinking, I don't really remember that many gifts that I was given when I was a kid. Every Christmas, there were all these things you wanted, and they just faded away so fast. But I remember my first knife very vividly. Giving a knife to a kid is a sign of trust and responsibility. And it's the same way with tools. When a kid goes out with dad, it doesn't have to be dad, but let's face it, it mostly is. When a kid works with tools and gets out there in the workshop, the kid starts to feel that the world's responding to their will, that they have power and control, and they can go out and fix things, build things, change things. Today, so much of what we buy is just throwaway stuff. You buy it, you use it, it breaks, you just dump it. I mean, even good stuff. I don't know how to fix an iPhone. It's easy to feel sort of powerless in a throwaway world. Tools fight back against that, I think, really terrible notion. Tools and the ability to use them give a kid the feeling that they can change the world, even if only in the smallest way. And look, even if they can't hammer a nail to save their lives, who cares? Go out in the shop with dad, working with dad, they get to keep that for the rest of their lives. So if you guys have any stories about knife making projects you did with your kids or your family, your dad, whatever, by all means email them to me. I'd love to hear from you and maybe share some of those a few Fridays from now. Thanks for watching, guys. If you feel like you got something out of this video, don't forget to subscribe. Also, click on the link to Patreon for a great way to give back to the channel. Plus, check me out on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Links in the description. If you want something sharp and pointy, maybe a gift for yourself or one of the cooler people in your life, check out my Tactics Armory website and pick up one of our tactical or outdoor knives. And finally, if you want to learn to make Hamones or Japanese swords, check out WalterSorrellsBlades.com, where you can find videos about how I make Hamones, as well as forging, mounting, polishing, and fittings for Japanese swords. Thanks, and see you soon.